We're now live.
We're live?
Yeah.
Yes.
What do we do?
It's-
Hello, everybody out there.
oh my goodness.
We are coming at you for our second Relativity School chat that is live. I am Katie Northlick. I'm a development specialist here at Relativity School. We're going to introduce you last because you're really special.
Yeah.
We have Terrence Johnson. He is our social media coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
He's just all around amazing.
Oh, thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, our special guest today, we're always going to have a special guest that is staff or faculty. We have Chris Bratten, music director of Relativity School.
Yeah.
Hi, Chris.
Hey.
All right, we'll see you later.
Could you
in-
imagine
you.
if that was the end of it? Just be like, bye.
Easy.
Yeah.
We're encouraging you guys, whoever is out there, to please send in any questions. Chris is the busiest human in the world. We only have him for 30 minutes. So for the next 30 minutes, if you have any questions about anything at all, the musical theater program rather, here at Relativity School, music in general, feel free to come in and ask Chris. So we also have our questions for Chris, but while we have you, hi Chris.
Hey.
Can you actually tell us, you're the music director here at Relativity School,
Yeah.
and maybe you just tell us before we talk about some exciting things going on, coming up at school, maybe a teeny bio, like your background and how, we know there's so many exciting things you've done with your career and just how you've gotten to where you've gotten here in LA in your career at this time. Is that a thing you've done?
Sure. I'll make it real brief.
Yeah.
So, moved to California after doing some college out of high school, and then, floundered about for a bit, and then went back to college and finished a degree. And then after college, the second time, I teamed up with this group called Upright Cabaret, which is a local cabaret show.
Okay.
And did that. I was their music director for like 2 or 3 years. And then myself and one of the producers of that cabaret show, we kind of branched off and formed our own company and show called For the Record. And it started out as a small show in a bar in Los Feliz. And then it kind of grew from there. We, gathered together a nice family of performers and creative people. And it's, the space expanded. We started going to other cities, and now it's, I've left the company. I'm no longer part of the company, but it's still going, and it's got a show in Vegas, got a show on a Norwegian cruise line ship.
Wow.
I don't even know what's happening.
That's incredibly
Yeah.
exciting. My
That's
goodness. In terms of being here as a music director, sort of finding yourself at Relativity School, what would you say that entails for you these days in terms of sort of your day-to-day, what do you, I'm sure it's always different.
Yeah. Well, it's a mixture of teaching classes and then running rehearsals and then just doing kind of stuff behind the scenes, developing curriculum and working on other projects that aren't necessarily classroom based.
Totally.
So that's pretty much it, kind of balancing all that.
Oh, he's so talented. Am I right? Am I right?
Lots of hearts.
I can tell he's like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I'm never doing this again. Lots of hearts. Do we have any questions yet?
Not yet.
No.
No.
Are we sideways?
I don't understand anything.
They'll see us
Hi guys.
when we download the video back. It'll be
Okay, good.
No, this is good. Yeah.
So tell us about, oh my gosh. We're going to get into sort of some stuff that's happening at Relativity sooner than later here in the convo, but can you tell us sort of for, we've all been young artists who are trying to figure it out. And how did you start to figure out what was the most important to you as an artist? And of course, this is a question that evolves. You could have a different answer tomorrow or in 10 years, we know this. But you know what I mean? You've arrived at a certain place in your career and quite successfully and, sort of becoming yourself, if you will. How did you start to figure out what worked for you as a writer, musician, creator?
That's a hard question.
It's a broad question.
What works for me? I guess if I had to sum it up, I would put it in terms of human connection. That to me
Love that.
is what's most important, because there's kind of two sides. There's like there's obviously this battle as an artist between, are you creating for yourself or are you creating for other people, right?
Totally.
And I like to try to find a middle ground there where it's like, well, I'm creating for both of us, right? Like it's about
Love that.
it's yes and kind of thing.
Absolutely.
So I certainly want to enjoy what I'm creating, but I also want whoever is experiencing it to enjoy it, and for us to both walk away from it better in some way.
Yeah.
I have a little bit of an opinion about art, that it should always be improving humanity in some way.
Totally.
Now that can happen in small ways or in silly ways or in very profound ways.
Totally.
But I just that's like my code of ethics as an artist, is that it should always be offering some benefit or improvement to the human
Humanity
race. Yeah.
at large versus this sort of personalized, sort of arguably maybe the word selfish
Yeah.
venture.
Yeah, and I think that's where I think a lot of, for me, a lot of art goes wrong, is when it doesn't have that as its focus. It has something else as its priority.
Yeah.
And then I just don't respond to that art as well.
I love that. And especially, it's so beautiful because we know that you bring it into the classroom to sort of young budding professionals here at school, and that's so invaluable. And they're pretty lucky, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
You guys, come on. Thanks for the love, everyone. I don't understand how to read the internet.
It's
Help
tough.
me.
It's tough because you have to constantly bend and look closer.
What are they saying?
They've all joined. Well, we just
Who?
started. Lots of people.
Where? What?
Hey.
Am I being funny, guys?
No, Token Art and Fox Mox Pox. And let's
Shout out.
yeah, give a quick shout out. Yeah.
Terrence, make sure we can see you.
I am. I'm in the frame.
Chris is taking up too much room. Sorry. Oh my God. Ow.
Yes. Hey, everybody.
Hi, guys. So, some of the stuff that we have going on at Rel School this fall, this winter, what can we talk about? What's coming up in your program?
Well, the two things that we're working on right now. One is the movie musical project, which is a huge undertaking. Essentially, it's the seniors, two seniors and one junior, are in this class, and they have been given the task of, in one semester, writing, casting, rehearsing, producing, filming, performing in, choreographing an original short movie musical.
Jeez.
So we literally walked into day one. It was like, all right, here's a blank whiteboard. Let's create a movie musical.
That's incredible.
And now we're in week 12, and we are halfway through our rehearsal process. We've got a script. We've got 4 songs that are written.
Oh my
We've got a
gosh.
cast of a dozen and change. I don't know how many people are in it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy that we've come this far. It's been a lot of work for everybody.
Yes.
I'm co-teaching the class with Mark Marchillo, who's the director, and I'm acting as music director. But we're pretty much trying to just make sure it's their project,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
just kind of guide them
Mentoring.
down this wild, twisty
Right.
path.
What do you do? Terrence is a wonderful writer, and I'm just a genius in general. What do you do? We all as artists hit, that frustration when in the middle of a creative process, right? Where it's like, this isn't working. Or, I don't like anything I did over the past 2 years.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Or handling, we're all humans, right? So when we err, or when we go, I don't like what I'm doing as a creator, how do you deal with that personally?
It sucks.
Totally sucks. See ya!
Yeah, I don't know that I have an answer for that, other than acknowledging that that's just not a necessary, but an inherent part, an intrinsic part of
The creative process.
Yeah, the creative process. We all battle with perfectionism, and you want it to be perfect, you want it to be amazing. I struggle with that. I don't know that there's an answer, and I think that's the
part of it.
Yeah, it's part of it, but there's a beauty in that too. Like it's that
Totally.
struggle. Like if it were easy, then I don't
Absolutely.
know what kind of art that would be.
Absolutely, because it's always evolving, isn't it? It's never one shape, and I think we all know.
Yeah.
We'll watch something that we did, or we'll see something we wrote, and maybe it's locked in, like the show is produced, or what have you. And I know I've had the experience where it's like, you always are seeing the thing that you could still do,
Yeah.
even though it's done.
Yeah,
Right?
but I also I like to always look at the next project.
You're like, let's go.
That's why people are always like, why don't you move to New York and do Broadway? I'm like, I cannot imagine doing the same show 8 times a week for like
Really?
2 years. Like that sounds like the most awful
Interesting.
existence. I can't.
It just
For me,
doesn't
I could
align for
not
you.
do that.
Oh,
It's like
that's
after,
fascinating. Yeah.
like when we would do our for the record shows, we would do like a 3-month run, and by the end of it, I was like, can we please I just want to play something else. I can't do it.
Yeah, it's like your creative input. It's your.
Yeah.
It's which
We've
I
got a
can
couple
get-
of questions
We
here.
have questions.
Yeah, we do. So one, I think
Get ready.
One, I think you kind of
Sorry.
answered because somebody was asking about like tips for writing a script, and so I think that Chris gave a pretty cool answer about when it's not working, acknowledging that it's not working, and trying.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think the worst thing you can do is just be hard on yourself about
Yeah.
it not being amazing. It's like, okay,
Mhm.
well, that's the process. I think it's important to also recognize that getting something on the page, even if it's a pile of crap,
Mhm.
is that's
Yeah,
a
that's
huge
crucial.
step because
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
always especially being an arranger. I do a lot of arranging, so I work with existing material. I find that so much easier than creating something from scratch.
Yes.
So if you can just get something out there, even if it's like
Good tip.
nonsense, then you can work with it. You can you have something to dig your hands into and improve.
Yeah.
But like looking at that empty page is so paralyzing. So it's
Oh.
like
Yeah,
just
you just
fill
gotta
the
write it
empty
down.
page as soon as possible, and then
Pro
I think the rest
tip.
will be a lot easier.
Do it as
Cool.
opposed to do it well. Just do it.
One
Yeah.
person asked if we were at the studio right now. We're in the post-production laboratory here at Relativity School. There's lots
Brand
of
new.
Yeah, it is brand new, and we are sitting
Very
like
rad.
Smells
right on the other side of a brand new like
It's a vocal.
vocal
Recording
booth.
booth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
recording booth, which is pretty awesome. Have you ever tried? Sorry, I'm trying to like read sideways.
Everybody.
I'm sorry. Have you ever tried changing your style or work when you write? When you've decided that you hate things that you've done, have you ever tried to change your style, or are you
Beautiful
always
question.
consistent?
Great
Yeah.
question. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
That is a good question. That's presuming I have a style. I don't know that I
Never
do.
presume.
I don't know that I do. I mean, do I have a style? I don't know.
Well, that's,
It's weird because like all of the stuff that I've done professionally has been mainly about variety. Like it's, specifically for the record shows, but even like all the the people that I've played for, it's been okay. We've done a jazz show. We've done like a funk show. We've done like just rock and roll. We've done musical theater, and so I've had to be this chameleon of sorts.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
for me, my style is about versatility and variety. And that's what I always love. That's why, like, when I think about the albums that I love, it's always the ones that have this like smorgasbord of just different flavors, and it's like it's a buffet of just like different things. And the shows that I like, they touch different things. I enjoy that. That's the only style that I can see for myself.
that's interesting. So to that, what are maybe some albums that you enjoy? Because like when I listen to an album, I like to have a coherentness
Yeah.
across, or like an album to tell me a story, or have good track listings. So like musically, like what's a recent album that you listened to that you felt like had?
So the most recent album that I like totally fell in love with and like fell into this deep rabbit hole of just like
Just
consuming it
not leaving the
every
room.
day.
Yeah.
Like I just cannot get enough of it. Is Because the Internet by Childish Gambino.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, which is interesting because like I did not grow up listening to rap or hip hop at all, so I don't have that history, and I don't. It's not in my blood in any way, and so I'm neither here nor there about it. But this album, a friend of mine turned me on to it, and we listened to it like on a record, like one night, just all the way through, and I was just like. I was so captivated by it, and it's one of these things that it's like like a I don't know, like a diamond or something like that, where like you keep turning it and like you see like different things. You're like, oh
Yeah.
my god, there's so many layers and so many
Wow.
little things.
That's beautiful.
It's so smartly written and produced. It's just like it's like a feast for the ears every time I listen to it,
Okay.
any track. And it is one genre. I mean, it's hip hop, you know,
Mhm.
and rap all the way through. But like within that genre, Donald Glover, the Childish Gambino, he found so many different just perspectives and sounds and layers, and it's so rich.
That's incredible.
Okay.
And varied within the genre.
Wow.
But I also love like, you know, like Elton John's "Goodbye Yellow Brick Road," which you hear a very obvious like, okay, there's like a Jamaican song in there, and then there's like a jazz song in there, and then there's like just straight up 70s rock. It's like all the way across the board. I love that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And I love that I actually love that before preceding that you even like, what is style? Like, what is my like, what does that even mean as an artist? You know, and we have to have the freedom to ask that question and to not know, and to have that be inspiring. I think I don't know what my style is. Great versus oh no, because or else we can't invent. Perhaps.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I
That's
also
another question.
feel
Yeah,
like style. I think it should be a byproduct of you just being your honest artist self, rather than like that's what you're aiming for. It's like, okay, here's my style. It's like, you know, I don't think Warhol was like, okay, here's my style, and I'm going to create that. He was just like,
Right.
I'm just creating art, and then
Right.
the style just emerged from him just being his honest self. Same thing with Picasso. He was like, I'm just creating art. I don't think he was like, you know, what kind of style,
Yeah.
what kind of
Exactly.
niche should I carve out
Yeah.
for myself? Like, how do I be like this
Like,
new inventive artist? Like,
Labelizing yourself.
he was just being very honest, and it just happened to create a style. You know? So I think style is like a byproduct, an
It
afterthought,
absolutely
in
is,
a way.
as opposed to getting trapped in assigning it
Yeah.
before you're creating.
Yeah.
Thank you, Token Art, for this question. When you are creating, do you allow your emotions to sway your work, or do you go into your work with a set objective with a specific emotion?
Ooh.
Oh wait, say that again.
I gotta come right.
I understood it, but Chris, you know.
So, do you allow your emotions to sway your work, or do you go into your work with a set objective with a specific emotion? Meaning, like, do you just go in
great.
and create, or are you like, I need a song about like this, so I'm going into it thinking about a specific emotion?
So, for me, well, again, it's kind of two different worlds.
Yeah.
If I'm working as an arranger, or I'm working like for a specific project that has like a specific goal, like okay, I'm arranging or writing a song in this show and it needs to serve this purpose, then I kind of have no choice. Like I then have to take on the emotion and the mindset of whatever character I'm writing for. You know, and that's always interesting. And I love that of being able to sort of like kind of get into the mind of the singer that I'm writing for.
Absolutely.
But if I'm just writing something for myself, I treat music very much as catharsis. Like it's always about like using it as a way to just purge some sort of emotion that just needs to get out and like can't get out any other way.
Oh, I love
you know?
that.
Yeah.
So
love that.
then it's just purely driven by whatever I'm emotionally in at that moment.
Oh.
Can I transition that to talking about a
Yeah.
cool event that we have coming up? So,
Hey, yeah.
there's this event called Broadway the Opposite Way.
Yeah.
That our students are a part of at the Rockwell Table and Stage here in Los Angeles. And so they're going to be performing songs that weren't necessarily written for them, whether that be gender and race and all of that. So, and you mentioned like arranging. What is the challenge of arranging a song that might have been written for a man that's now being sung by a woman? Not just like key wise, but in like emotion and how.
Yeah, well, it's interesting with this particular. Oh, goodbye.
Yeah, we'll come back.
We're still here, guys.
All right, there we go. We're back in the light.
With this particular show, so I'll answer it broadly first, and then I'll get to specifically this show. So broadly, again, you have to think like who you're arranging for. You know, if it's for a specific character, then you have to adapt. And that was what was so fun about doing For the Record, was because, you know, we would take a song that was on a soundtrack and put it into the voice of a character that was in that movie, but like maybe that song didn't happen at that same time, or obviously that character didn't actually sing this song. It was just part of the soundtrack. So there's already a connection because it was chosen for the film for a reason. Soundtracks are meant to kind of support the storytelling. But like when you really put it into the voice of the character, it's like it changes everything, you know, especially depending on what scene you're in that moment. And then, I mean, I don't want to go on to a whole diatribe about like arranging, but like I have to understand the scene and the intention and the character in order to arrange a song. Like otherwise, I'm just throwing darts in the dark. You know, I don't know. But if I know what they're after, then I know, okay, this is how this part should feel. This is how the arc of the song should open up, and like here's where the climax needs to be, and this is sort of the instrumentation that needs to happen because this is what we're trying to convey.
Yeah.
Music is all part of the storytelling, so I have to understand all of that. But with Rockwell, the Rockwell Broadway the Opposite Way, I'm actually turning a lot of that over to the students themselves. This is really an exercise for them, because at a school like this, at a performing arts school, you don't really get that many opportunities to perform as yourself. And this is going to be one of the first opportunities for, I think, most of these students to get on stage and be themselves through a song that was not, again, not written for them. It's not an original song, and it's also not a role that they would be cast in, right? So it's an opportunity for them to sink their teeth into material that they probably would never get to sing otherwise.
Totally.
But also to relate to material that they would never really get to, like, get to do the work on.
That's amazing.
That's cool.
And it's really fascinating because they're finding this interesting, it's this interesting exploration into, okay, how does this relate to me as a real person, and how do I interpret this, being myself, not playing a character, right? So I'm actually not doing too much musically because I don't want to complicate that process. It's also saving me a lot of work because it's time consuming. So other than changing the keys, like we're kind of just leaving the arrangement as it is. It's really up to the performer in terms of their delivery and their intention.
Love that.
To bring the new spin on it.
And their connection to the music themselves. And you're sort of there to help guide the ship.
Yeah, and there's we sort of semi-leaked the set list on Facebook. So if you go on the Relativity School Facebook page, you can see at least the movies and the shows that the students are singing
Fabulous.
from. Yeah.
And the dates of the show, when?
The date is November 20th, so
next
Monday.
Next Monday.
Rockwell TV
Yeah,
on
it
stage.
should be very exciting.
my
So we have a
gosh.
question.
Let's see.
Sorry
Time
that-
for a couple more.
How much time does it take you to arrange a song on average? Also, do you have a process? Like before working, will you just go on a walk and think, or will you just sit down and do it? That's from Angel James 5556.
Angel James, I love the walk thing. I just love that you brought up going for a walk, right?
Yeah.
It's peaceful.
Well, so
love
you just,
that.
do you just sit
Go.
down and tear through it? Do you have to?
Yeah. So with arranging specifically, my process is, again, I have to understand what the moment is, right? If it's in the context of a show, I need to understand the character. I need to understand what the character's thinking in that moment and what they're intending. Like all the work that the actor would do, I have to do that in order to arrange the song for them. Because otherwise the song isn't going to serve what they're trying to do on stage, right? So I have to do all that work as well. And then I'll listen to the original reference track that I'm arranging like once, and then I will never listen to it again.
Oh, wow.
Because I need it to turn into my own thing. I need to ingest it and have it come out and be mine. Like now this is now my song.
Right.
And if I'm constantly listening to the original, then it's constantly reminding myself that this isn't my thing. I'm just doing somebody else's thing. So I listen to it once just to understand it enough, and then I put it away, and I approach it as if I'm like rewriting the song.
Wow.
So I approach it more as like a composer. I work at a piano, at a keyboard or a piano, and I just try to figure out like some piece of the arrangement to like latch onto. Like sometimes it's the chorus, sometimes it's like a little piano intro idea, sometimes it's a drum rhythm. It's just something to like get me started, and I latch onto that and I just kind of build my way around piece by piece. And every piece I bring in, I think, okay, well, why is this here? Like, not just, oh, it sounds good. It's like, well, but like, how does this support the storytelling? How does this support the story of the song or the story of this character?
I love that.
Yeah, I have a question to that because I popped in. We also have workshops here during the summer, and I popped in when you were teaching some young, I think, high school students. Don't Rain on My Parade from Funny Girl.
Yeah.
So like, what is an example of, like, using that as an example? Like, how would you go about arranging that for like a high school student versus like somebody who might be a little bit older as like somebody in like college? Is there a difference there?
Yeah, I mean, off the cuff, I would think like, a high school student has obviously an older person has a different life experience, right? And would come at that song with all of that history.
Yeah.
Right. And if they're singing a song like that, clearly, something has happened that's very important and powerful to make them need to say something like this.
That's right.
Yeah.
But the sort of experience that would make a high school age person say that is going to be, again, like a more youthful approach, more vibrant approach, more like it's got a lot more pop to it, a lot more just innocence, maybe naivete about it. I mean, no offense, but like just like more that like youthful innocence, right? And wide-eyed, like just drinking in the world kind of thing.
Yeah, big dreams.
Yeah, and so there's that color, but then like someone who's a little bit older might come at that with trying to find like a nicer way to put it, but like maybe like a chip on their shoulder, or like a little bit of like there's that bittersweetness.
Personal history.
Yeah, that informs it,
100%.
and that would change the color of the
music.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like for someone who's singing as an older, I would bye.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm just keep
We're
talking
here.
Yeah, no, keep talking.
I would maybe like slow it down.
Someone older?
Yeah. Or play, think more like of an aggressive arrangement. Something that like, pushes it into a more intense, corner in a way.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Because you as a arranger can hear that and can feel that and can see that, and then we experience it as the audience versus us understanding how you're coming at, as you just said, through a different lens. An 18-year-old singing versus the 30-year-old singing the same song versus the 50-year-old singing the same song. It's going to be a different theatrical experience, and that's such a skill inherently that you have.
Yeah, and I think that's cool. That's one of my favorite things about music. I'm a big classical music, in addition to being a fan of theater, super fan of theater. I'm trying to, I love that about classical music in particular, because since these songs are done by everybody, it's like, each orchestra might have their own spin on a particular song, but it can change your whole like experience with the material just by who is playing it. And so I think that's like as an arranger, you have to have that going on in your brain.
Right. Well, and that's an important point because you're talking about classical music, which generally, and there's a tradition in that, like, you don't go off the page, like you play the notes that are on the page. But even with that, like you get 10 people playing, a Beethoven sonata, you're going to get 10 different interpretations of the same. They're playing all the exact same notes. But like even with that restriction, there's still so much interpretation that can happen, and it's on these subtle, nuancey levels. But you can still extract a lot of juice and a lot of variety at these tiny microscopic levels. That's like, little fluctuations in dynamics or spacing of notes, or, how much time you take for a rest, or like how aggressively you play, like the timbre of the notes. Like all that stuff can really change an arrangement, So to me, arrangement isn't always just about like coming up with like, let's just turn it into a reggae song. It's like, it's not about that. Like sometimes you just play the song, but like you arrange it on that more nuanced level.
Yeah.
And that's all you need. You don't need to do a gimmick, basically.
100%. Sort of outside in. This might be our last question, right, Terrence?
This might be, they're asking us, are we going to be streaming the show on the 20th, for those of us who can't see it? That is a good question.
That is a fabulous
I'm unsure, but we will definitely get back to you on that if you...
Check it out here, right?
There'll probably be some footage taken and some...
We'll definitely be filming.
Yeah, we'll definitely be filming.
Purposes, but I don't think it'll be streamed live.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
But it's a great idea.
Also, when you're arranging, who do you collaborate with? Is it the actor?
I'm a terrible collaborator.
What? For real?
Really?
It's one of my weaknesses is I don't work well with other people.
That's fascinating to me because you just painted a picture for us.
How do you
Because-
mean? Because
Yeah, how do you
like,
mean?
Because we understand as artists what that can mean.
Uh-huh.
What do you mean? Not working well?
Because okay, so when you're collaborating with someone,
Mm-hmm.
you have to share the creative space,
Mhm.
right? And like everyone
Okay, I
pours
get
their
you.
ideas in, right? But in order to, you also have to own the material. Like you can't collaborate without like investing personally
Self.
in the material.
Mhm.
You can't like stay removed and sort of like do it, like phone it in. You have
Totally.
to invest in the material,
Totally.
and that's hard. It's sort of like three people loving the same person. It's like, you know,
Okay, I see.
It's hard to negotiate that.
Yeah.
And when I invest in something, like I consume the entire thing. It's like I don't know how to share that space very
Mhm.
well
Interesting.
because I get so intimate with it
Mhm.
that it's hard for me to like
Yeah.
make room for anybody
Yeah, I see that.
else's, you know, stuff in there.
Where some people are like they have a collaborator and that's how they
Mhm.
excel.
Absolutely, and I think it's just good to know your strengths and weaknesses.
Yes.
And I just know that that's one of my. I don't know that it's a weakness per se. I guess
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I just know that that's how I work best.
Mhm.
If I do have to collaborate with people, I have to constantly be checking myself to distance myself. I have to like.
Mhm.
It's like you know, like when you're trying to prevent yourself from falling in love with somebody. Like all that energy that goes into
No.
like not feeling something. It's like
Yeah.
that sort of constant
Yeah.
energy of just like
Proactive
I
choice.
can't attach to this. I can't get
Putting
too
up
involved in this.
defense.
Yeah.
Like it's so exhausting. Whereas if it was just mine, I can just
Yeah.
fall into it and I don't have to worry about all.
Yeah, but I think that's
Yeah.
good to know as an artist. So
As
when
yourself.
you go into a project that you won't like either over or underextend yourself.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's a great place to sort of, per what you're saying, it all comes back to that self-awareness as an artist. Like, what do you do?
Yeah.
How do you work well without other, et cetera? And it's a journey, isn't it? We can only
Yeah.
figure out how we work best by doing it and
Yeah.
choosing things within the artistic realm, and then you're like, oh, maybe that's not the thing for me.
Well,
or,
and just
you know,
knowing yourself.
and
Yeah.
I
knowing
think
yourself.
to be a good artist, you have to know yourself. Otherwise, you're kind of just floating on the wind in a way, just going wherever like things
Yeah.
push you. But if you know yourself, then you can decide, okay, this is what I want to do, this is what I don't want to do, this is what I do well, this is what I don't do well. Like, and then you steer the ship. But if you don't know yourself, you can't do that. You know.
That's
Cool.
a great place
Yeah, that's a
to
great place to
end.
end.
Because, like, I'm so inspired. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it was great.
You guys, please put it up for, I want you to clap at home for Chris Bratten. Do I hear you clapping? Chris Bratten, our musical director
Yeah.
here at Relativity School, he really is brilliant and so inspiring, and we watch him with the students, and magic happens every day with him on campus, and we're all very lucky to know him. And Terrence Johnson is our incredible social media coordinator.
Oh, thank you.
And then I'm, as I said, amazing. So
Snaps for everybody.
Katie Northlick is great. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is our second Relativity live chat, and hopefully you had some fun and you learned some stuff from Chris, and we'd love to see you. Oh, I see hearts, you guys.
Yeah.
We'd love to see you.
We'll be back next month.
We'll be back next month with another human.
Allegedly.
Just somebody.
Allegedly.
And
Allegedly.
hope to see you guys if you're in LA, Rockwell on November 20th.
Yeah.
For Broadway the Opposite Way, and we will answer that question about live streaming. We'll see if we
Yeah.
can get that answer.
We will answer that.
Because we'd love you to be able to witness the show in some capacity.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in.
Bye, guys.
And we'll see you soon with a rel person.